The nation is mourning the deaths of several women and girls who were murdered by men.
Holding the steak knife that he had been using, he jumped to his feet and rushed at me.
That night when I put in my statement, one of the officers at the police station says, you know what, we don't have the time for this.
We know the names of Uyinene Mkhechana, Leandre Jechels, Janika Mallo, Ayaka Gianni, and her 3 little siblings. But we also grieve with many others who have died at the hands of men.
There was physical abuse, verbal abuse, and emotional abuse.
Violence against women has become more than a national crisis. It is a crime against our common humanity.
My name is Samantha Wade. On the 19th of March 2019, at 7:10 in the morning, my ex-fiancé shot me twice in my head whilst I was sitting in my car waiting at a traffic light.
My name is Charlene Peters. I was arrested in 2005 for possession of cannabis. I was framed by my ex-boyfriend.
In January 2001, Anita Natasha Ferreira and 2 accomplices were sentenced to life imprisonment for the killing of Anita's partner.
My name is Kerry Charles. On the evening of 9 February 2007, I shot and killed my former husband, a man who for many years had abused me, both mentally and physically.
I, the undersigned, am an adult female person. I am an accused person in these proceedings. I intend to plead not guilty to the charges mentioned in the charge sheet.
This is Him or Me, a podcast series on the experiences of women who have faced abuse and their experiences with the South African criminal justice system. I am your host, Lele Tutonisi. In the process of researching and producing this podcast series, the Wits Justice Project made several observations from the experiences of women and from papers produced by researchers into gender-based violence and women who kill in self-defense. At the core of all the issues is South Africa's sexist, patriarchal culture, which does not view women as worthy of respect, dignity, and humanity. These values are not always expressed overtly, but their influence bleeds through the way women are treated and how women's experiences are trivialized even in matters of life and death.
According to legal records, Anita did try to leave the relationship many times. She also went to the police several times, and on one occasion where they did show up, they simply instructed her to attempt to sober up her drunken abuser. The judge is quoted saying, "The attitude of the state's investigating officer in this matter demonstrates a systemic weakness on the part of the state's investigations into matters involving domestic abuse. Further, it chillingly exhibits the very injustice to which the accused person may be seriously subjected where investigators do not conduct professional investigations."
One of the officers at the police station says, you know what, we get so many statements like this. We don't have the time for this.
The police repeatedly come up during our research and interviews for failing to take gender-based violence cases seriously. Poor training and implementation of gender-based violence policies also contributed to poor and insensitive handling of cases. This includes poor recording of statements, injuries, and evidence, but also the callous disregard for battered women seen in many instances. We also noted that in the cases where women were unsuccessful in appealing their sentences or guilty verdicts, the inability to afford legal representation was the common thread in most of these cases. Instead, these women had to contend with overworked, under-resourced state-appointed legal practitioners. Ultimately, women were failed by the state and society at large. From the religious and cultural values upheld within a sexist and unequal society to the poor follow-through on national and regional policies meant to protect women and children. The problem has many heads, and to fix it would require a considered and holistic approach. Married women are particularly vulnerable to abuse, and because of factors such as cultural and religious attitudes, leaving is seldom a viable option. In the paper by Joyner, Roos, and Honigman titled Intimate Partner Violence in South Africa, How to Break the Vicious Cycle, the authors identify several points of intervention. The authors note that simple actions from several sources can, together, operate to prevent the consequences of intimate partner violence and establish social norms against it.
What I do believe, if the police are overrun by domestic statements that they get, they need to look at everyone, they need to act on everyone. I mean, how can they justify what is important and what is not important?
Close to 70% of all female homicide cases are acquitted, which means, more often than not, perpetrators get away with killing women in South Africa.
I was arrested in 2005 for possession of cannabis. I was framed by my ex-boyfriend. Some people were there for murder, some for Grand Theft Auto, some were there for other petty crimes, but there was no distinction between people who might be dangerous and people who were harmless. I went to court and I was lucky enough to be released, but I didn't get my son back until I had completed a number of tests to prove that I wasn't on drugs.
In the paper by Joyner, Roos, and Honigman titled Intimate Partner Violence in South Africa, How to Break the Vicious Cycle, the authors suggest collaboration between governmental departments as an effective way to support battered women, prevent further abuse, deliver justice to battered women, and to undo the socio-cultural acceptance of gender injustice. This has been Him or Me, a podcast series on the experiences of women who have faced abuse and their experiences with the South African criminal justice system. I am your host, Lele Tutonisi. The Wits Justice Project investigates human rights abuses and miscarriages of justice related to the criminal justice system. You can get in touch with us by visiting our website at www.witsjusticeproject.co.za or Wits Justice Project on Facebook and on Twitter.